Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Tonight on America Decides, constructive conversation. President Trump holds what he calls a, quote, very good call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. For his part, President Zelenskyy wasn't as effusive, but it is clear the two men are still focusing on a partial agreement that President Trump reached with Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday about some dimension of a partial ceasefire. We're tracking what happens next in those quite complicated talks. Court clash. Federal judge extends the deadline for the Trump Justice Department to hand over details, and the judge wants a number of details on the Trump administration's deportation flights. This extension comes as Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Trump administration will absolutely, that's her word, absolutely continue to remove Venezuelan immigrants. President Trump, meanwhile, ramped up criticism of the judge, who right now is blocking some of those moves.
He's radical left. He was Obama appointed. And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country.
I want to start tonight at Nancy Cordes at the White House and Charlie D'Agata at the Pentagon. So, Nancy, we had second conversation. Putin yesterday, right. Zelenskyy today.
Yep.
What, if anything, is the White House saying about where it finds itself in this push for a ceasefire?
They're saying quite a lot. Actually, the White House press secretary even read the entire statement aloud in the briefing, and when you hear what she had to say, it indicates why they wanted to make it public and make sure that everyone heard it. It appears that they are sending a message to Vladimir Putin. The president says, according to the statement, that they had a great meeting. He also went out and posted that online with Zelenskyy, that they're moving in the right direction. And he says, interestingly, that they had a very good talk about military intelligence sharing, which is going to continue between the U.S. and Ukraine. And also, he said that Ukraine is looking for more Patriot missile systems and that President Trump has agreed to work with him to find what was available. Why is all that important? Because it shows that the White House, at least right now, is not planning to give in to some of Russia's demands, which were notably that there be some kind of halt on military intelligence sharing between the U.S. and other countries and Ukraine, and also that military aid to Ukraine from foreign countries would cease as well before Russia would agree to a 30-day ceasefire. So this is a signal, and a not too subtle one, Major, that they are not willing to give on those 2 points, at least for now.
Charlie, help us understand why that's important, as Nancy just outlined it. Continuing provide intelligence and military support, whether it comes to the United States or support of European countries.
Well, Major, first of all, we have to point out that President Putin pretty much dismissed this whole idea of a ceasefire, a limited ceasefire that they wouldn't fire at each other's energy grids. Having said that, President Zelenskyy said something like 140 drones were sent over from Russia, specifically targeting the energy grid in eastern Ukraine. That was monitored here as well. That was within hours of that phone call. There's some discrepancy as to whether the order went out and wasn't stopped or whether those birds were already in the air when that happened. But where that becomes critical is where the Ukrainians need that intelligence, need to have the Patriot weapons defense systems, and they need to have those weapons. So there are sort of levers that this Trump administration are able to pull, and which will enable the Ukrainians to continue fighting. Because if there is a ceasefire, if there's a temporary ceasefire, it benefits the Russians because it gives them an opportunity to regroup, to refresh, to reposition their troops, and they're on a full court press right now, especially in that Kursk region, pushing Ukrainian forces out and along the front lines. And I should mention both sides, and we got the intelligence here, both sides are fighting now, and you'll see this before a ceasefire. It happens every battle I've ever seen, that there'll be a hurry-up offense before the fighting stops.
And, Charlie, we are, of course, focused on the conversations between Russia, the United States, and Ukraine. But for the sixth day, if I have my numbers correct, the United States has been engaging in what the Pentagon frequently refers to as kinetic military activity with the Houthis in Yemen. What's going on?
Yeah, well, you were accurate. So this new phase of the fight, I suppose, to describe it, began on Saturday when the United States launched one of the largest attacks on Yemen soil against the Houthis. And they were trying to take out radar control areas, command and control centers. They specifically are going after these UAV launchers. They said they took out some leadership. So that happened on Saturday. We checked again. It happened on Sunday as well, happened on Monday. I just checked today because we got news out of Yemen or from our friends in the Middle East that explosions were happening once again. I then confirmed it here with the Navy that they had engaged again. So this has been described by Defense Secretary Hegseth as an unrelenting campaign. So this is going to continue, because I asked whether these are going to be waves of airstrikes. They said it's not going to be stop and go. It's not going to be picking off targets as has been done under the Biden administration. Their words, not mine. But this is going to be an unrelenting campaign. So you have the USS Harry S. Truman there. They've also been intercepting Houthi drones and missiles aimed at the carrier strike group, destroyers in the region. Nothing has come close, we understand. So, yes, as you say, this is a kinetic battle, and it is ongoing.
Charlie Daggett at the Pentagon. Nancy Cordes, North Line of the White House. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.